Hello students, welcome back to another session of physics. We are dealing up with Bernoulli's theorem. Kalyani, good morning. Yeah, we are dealing up with Bernoulli's theorem, and after that Bernoulli's theorem, we do now have some applications of Bernoulli's theorem. Means how are we using this, or how scientists made use of this Bernoulli's theorem to understand different various things, and certain some applications have been shown here. Applications of Bernoulli's theorem. There are three important applications. Or first application is called as Torricelli's law. I'll just brief about what this Torricelli's law is. Torricelli's law states that it gives an expression for the speed of a flux. What is speed of a flux? Speed of a flux is the speed of outflow of a fluid. Outflow of a fluid. With what speed fluid is coming out of? With what speed fluid is coming out? Speed of efflux, EFF-LUX. Speed of efflux means speed of outflow of a fluid. What is this Torricelli's law? Called as, it gives an expression by making use of Bernoulli's principle. It gives an expression. Name of the scientist is Torricelli. He invented that with what speed fluid is going to come out, and since he invented this by using Bernoulli's principle, and what he found is that he found that any fluid coming from certain height will be acting as a freely falling body. Anything what is coming from certain height, if any water drop releases from certain height, okay, if a water drop is released in the form of a raindrop, or from a tank some fluid is ejecting out, water is ejecting out, once it is coming out of the tank, how that water droplets are going to behave? Those water droplets are going to behave as freely falling bodies. This is the invention of Torricelli's law. You should know this thing first of all. What is this Torricelli's law? He says that Torricelli verified or proved that any fluid coming from certain height will behave like a freely falling body. Subject to the condition that it is kept in the open source. Means it should be surrounded both sides by the atmosphere. Any water drop. Is the point clear? What is Torricelli's law? Torricelli found or proved that any fluid coming in the atmosphere will behave like a freely falling body. What is a freely falling body? If an object is reached at certain height, how it falls? Because of gravitational pull of the earth, it falls on the surface of the earth. In the same way, any fluid what is released in the atmosphere will at a certain height will be behaving as what? Will be behaving as freely falling body. This is what we call it as Torricelli's law. What is Torricelli's law now? Is the point clear? What is Torricelli's law? Torricelli's law states that any fluid ejecting in the atmosphere at a certain height will behave like a freely falling body. Is this point clear or not? If it is clear, then I'll go for the next one. Clear, Manjula? Hope it's clear for everyone. What is Torricelli's law? Torricelli's law states that any fluid ejecting in the atmosphere from certain height will be behaving as a freely falling body. And how we come to this conclusion? Now we are going to verify how we come to this conclusion. The statement is something like this. It behaves like a freely falling body. And by using this freely falling body equation, we are going to derive expression for the speed of efflux. What is speed of efflux? Speed of efflux means speed of outflow of a fluid. What is speed of efflux? Speed of efflux means speed of outflow of a fluid. This is a basic outline of Torricelli's law. We are going to verify the equations for that. And second one is, we will verify this equation a little later. Is the speed of efflux clear? What is speed of efflux? If you open the tap, fluid comes out. With what speed it is coming out? That speed is called as speed of efflux. When you rotate the tap, water comes out, right? That is outflow of a fluid is there. And with what speed it is coming out? That speed is called as speed of efflux. The fluid which is ejecting out from any kind of a source, with what speed it comes out, that speed is defined as speed of efflux. Second application is, hope the first application is clear in terms of theoretical points. Yes or no? Second application is Venturi meter is one kind of a device developed by making use of Bernoulli's theorem. Yes, sir, right. By making use of Bernoulli's theorem, and this device helps in determining what? Determining the speed of flowing fluid. In a river, we know water flows. In a river, we know water flows. With what speed the river water is flowing? Water is a fluid. With what speed that fluid is moving? That expression can be obtained by using this device called as you can determine the value of the speed of river flow of water by using a device called as Venturi meter. What is called as Venturi meter? Venturi meter is a device used to detect. Hopefully you know a device. Scale is a device. Screw gauge is a device. Ammeter is a device used to measure something. Right? Similarly, Venturi meter is one such device which is used to determine what? The speed with which the water flows in any kind of a flow tube. Fluid flows in any kind of a fluid, wherever the flow tube is, with what speed fluid is moving in that flow tube can be determined by using a device called as Venturi meter. And next one is dynamic lift. This is again one more important thing. Dynamic lift is the one which makes body to go upwards because of the pressure difference between two regions. If you are here and there is some kind of, there are two different regions, different pressures. If a body is placed in two different regions, body always tends to place itself in the region of low pressure than high pressure. Now we are at the regions of low pressures. Now below that we have low pressure, and above us we have high pressures. Accordingly, we are now staying at what location? We are now staying at low pressures. Now, if bottom pressure becomes more and high pressure, top pressure becomes low, if there are two difference of pressures, if there are, this is pressure 1, if this is pressure 2, and an object is placed here, where the object moves, object always goes to place itself in that region of what? In that region of low pressures. Object cannot be stable in high pressures. Yes or no? Accordingly, object would be tending to place itself in the high pressure. Sorry, low pressures. Accordingly, dynamic lift is been applicable for the cases of aeroplanes. Aeroplanes should move up, right? Aeroplanes should move up. Accordingly, what should happen? Below that aeroplane, high pressure has to be created. If high pressure is created in the bottom part of the aeroplane, what happens? It tries to place itself in the low pressure regions. If above that, if there is a low pressure region, then the body automatically tries to lift upwards. The mechanism of lifting a body in this way is called as dynamic lift. Lifting a body by creating some kind of pressure difference across that body on the top and bottom parts is called as the dynamic lift. And with the help of this dynamic lift, you again have the examples of in-swingers and out-swingers in cricket. In-swingers, out-swingers. Those who play cricket can understand this. In-swingers and out-swingers. Bowlers will bowl these things, right? In-swinger, out-swinger. How bowlers are able to use this in-swingers, out-swingers is the concept behind this. Means ball has to be thrown, and depending on the direction of the air there, bowler should identify in what direction air is blowing. Accordingly, he should make that kind of spin onto the ball. Thereby, that creates some kind of dynamic lift onto that. That dynamic lift makes the body, instead of going in one way, it goes in the other direction. And that is the one which is creating some kind of things for a bowler called as in-swingers and out-swingers. Are the basic examples clear? Or the basic terminology is clear for these two things? What are we going to see now? We'll expand this now thoroughly. We'll expand these things thoroughly. Importantly, these two are more important. More important in the sense, derivations you are going to get. Is the basic terminologies or the theoretical part clear? So far, 3 applications we are talking. If it is clear, we'll go ahead. No responses. Clear. Rishita again. Any others? Yes, clear, sir. So the thing is, we have, right? Fine. Good. I'll go ahead. So the thing is, we have 3 important applications for Bernoulli's theorem. These are the practical applications what we see in our day-to-day life, and we are now going to check out the first one. Let us first check out the first part, that is in the form of Torricelli's law. Right? You are going to get some kind of derivation. Just try to concentrate in this. Concentrate on this part of derivation. What is the speed of flux? You define now. Speed of flux is the, yeah, clear. Come today, Raju, right? I'll talk to you later, Raju. Right, right. That is the Storycell law now. Because let us be quick, because we have to complete this at any cost, because tomorrow this is there in the exam. And you nobody will ask the derivation of these things, but you should understand the basic things. How are we using these derivations? So accordingly, I'm going to derive this. First of all, Torricelli's law states that any object released at certain height in the atmosphere will behave like a freely falling body. First point. Second point is that the speed with which the fluid is ejecting out from a body is called as speed of flux. By using Bernoulli's theorem, we are going to determine this expression for this speed now. How are we doing that? Now concentrate here. Consider a tank which can be assumed to be at some above all the apartments. You can find this above the houses, above the buildings. They use Sintex tanks. This is one such Sintex tank, right? Filled with what? Concentrate, all of you. Filled with water. And I just don't want to drag this a lot, because this time is very less. I just want to go a bit faster than usual one. So I wish all of you to concentrate thoroughly. Concentrate thoroughly and understand this. Consider a Sintex tank above a building where filled up with water whose density is rho. Consider a small opening in the form of a tap present at some surface here. Right, there is a tap. The moment you rotate this tap, water comes out here. Now, this is what we say. Speed of a flux is the speed of outflow of fluid. Let us suppose this is V1 is equal to so much. We want to find expression for V1. What is that? The moment you open the tap, fluid will come out. With what speed is coming out is what we are calling it as V1. Right? Now, this is region 1, and the above surface here is what we have region 2. There are two regions for the fluid, right? Because the moment water comes out here, water level reduces in the tank again with certain speed. Yes or no? Right. Therefore, let this area be A1. Region 1 has an area of A1. Region 1 has a pressure of P1. Let this speed be V2. Region 2. This is region 2. Region 2 is having a speed of V2 and a pressure of P2. Area of what? Area of A2. Clearly, there are two regions. Yes or no? Clearly, there are two regions. One is the open tank. That the moment you open the lid, you will find that open surface, and water is initially up to this height. Now, let us say this is a height Y1 from the bottom surface of the tank. This is right. Tap is present at a height of Y1 from the bottom surface of the tank, and water is filled up to a height of Y2 from the bottom surface of the tank. The terminology is clear. There are two regions, 1 and 2. One is smaller area having pressure P1. Let the speed coming out of this be V1, which is we wish to find the expression for this. And filled with a fluid whose density, it could be what, it could be anything else, whose density is rho. And again, the second region have the speed coming, the moment you open this, when water goes down, speed comes down, level falls, yes or no, water level falls here. And I'm now supposing the level of flow of fluid inside this is V2, and with a pressure of P2 having an area of A2. Or the terminology is clear, simple thing, simple terminologies. Now, using the equation of continuity, can you say that A1 V1 is equals to A2 V2? Can you say that using the equation of continuity, A1 V1 is equals to A2 V2? But clearly, A2 is very much larger than A1. Whose area is more? A1 is too small. A2 is very large. A2 is very much large. And if A2 is large, what happens to the speed with which V comes down? Clearly, this condition makes V2 to be nearly zero. You should understand this condition. What is this V2 to be nearly zero? Though fluid is coming out of here, you'll find that speed is much here, but the speed with which water falls down appears to be too small for any time interval. Yes or no? If the level of the water in the tank is decreasing, will it come randomly or rapidly at a very fast rate, or will it come slowly without a noticeable change? speed with which fluid coming down is assumed to be 0 because it is negligible speed when compared with this speed. This point is clear or not? Why V2 is 0? Why V2 is 0? What is V2 first of all? V2 is the speed of fluid flow in the tank. Speed of fluid flow in the tank when compared with this area. This is very large. This large area makes speed to come slowly, almost negligible. At any time between two different time intervals, you won't find much change in the tank. Yes or no? I'm not getting any responses. I'm waiting for responses. Can you hear me or not? 1, 2, 3 responses. Yes. Is that clear now why V2 is 0? Is that clear why V2 is 0? Because area is too large, speed comes out to be slow, or it is, you can simply understand this, like if you open the tank, like in your house, you open one tap and see speed with which what is coming out, and go to the tank above the building and check whether it is coming down complete fastly or slowly. You will find that there is no change at all, or speed is almost appears to be rest only. Accordingly, V2 is equals to 0. Now, what is that we say? We say that we are applying Bernoulli's theorem. Accordingly, applying Bernoulli's theorem at two regions, can I say that P1 plus half rho V1 square plus rho G Y1 is equals to, can you say this? Because at region 1, these are things we have. Pressure is P1, velocity is V1, half rho V1 square. Bernoulli's theorem, first of all, you should know this. Yesterday we did this. Bernoulli's theorem itself means you should come across these three terms. Pressure plus kinetic energy per unit volume plus potential energy per unit volume remains constant. Means pressure, sum of these three at region 1 is equals to sum of these three at region 2. Is this Bernoulli's theorem clear? Equation. The moment you say Bernoulli's theorem, you should come across this equation. Now what should I write here? P2 plus half rho V2 square plus rho G Y2. And difference of Y2 minus Y1 gives height of the fluid in the tank. Clear, sir? Very good. Right? Applying Bernoulli's theorem means you're applying Bernoulli's theorem. Sum of these three things at region 1 is equals to at region 2. Accordingly, this factor is 0 because V2 is negligible. Then what is the term you are remaining with? What is the term you are remaining with? P1 plus half rho V1 square plus, I'll take this rho G Y1 to the other end. It becomes P2 plus rho G Y2 minus Y1. What did I have done? I had taken this Y1 to the other end. This Y1 is taken to this side. Sorry, rho G Y1 plus rho G Y2 taken that side. Rho G is common, Y2 minus Y1. This factor is eliminated. Accordingly, I'm not putting that term because V2 is negligible almost and P2 is as is. In this, what is that we need to find? If you understand so far, tell me what is that we need to find in this? What is that we need to find from this equation? Simple thing it is. Yes, Madhu, very good. V1 it is. Because V1 is the speed with which fluid comes out. That is called as speed of efflux. Accordingly, we need to make an expression for V1 from this. So what it is? What it is? Make half rho V1 square subject and write the equation. That is half rho V1 square. Don't get confused with P and rho. Half rho V1 square. Half rho V1 square is equals to, can I write that it is P2 minus P1? This is as it is and P1 is taken to the other side. That is P2 minus P1. P2 minus P1 plus rho G. Can I say Y2 minus Y1 as H? I just assumed that this is Y1, this is Y2. Difference of those two is, yes or no? Check out here. This is Y1. From here to it is Y2. Y2 minus Y1 is going to use as this value. I'm supposing this value as H. This is Y1. This is Y2. Difference of Y2 minus Y1 is giving this one. This is equals to H. Yes or no? Yes, right. Right. So what is that? Rho GH P2 minus P1 half rho V1 squared is equals to. Now, lastly, here I'll say that P1 is equals to P1. Can anybody say why? Why P1 and P2 are same? Here, in this case, P1 is equals to P1. Pressure at 2 is equals to pressure at 1. Why? Because both are surrounded to atmosphere. The top surface is surrounded to atmosphere. The bottom, the once it is coming out, is also surrounded to atmosphere. Both are equals to atmospheric pressures only. Yes or no? P2 is surrounded to atmosphere. Accordingly, atmospheric pressure acts on that. P1 is also surrounded to atmosphere. Accordingly, it is also acting. It is also having what with that? Atmospheric pressure only. Can I say that P2 is equals to P1 is equals to PA here? Since both are same, since both are nearly, because P2 is also equals to P atmospheric pressure. P2 is atmospheric pressure. P1 is also atmospheric pressure. Accordingly, difference is equals to what? Difference is equals to 0. Accordingly, the final term what we write from this equation is that, just remember this, you should see this. Half rho V1 square. From this you can write that. From this equation you can write that this is 0. This factor will become 0 now. That is V1 square is equals to 2 by rho times of rho G H. Right? Check out. Half rho V1 square, this is 0, rho G H. V1 square is equals to rho by 2 it becomes 2 by rho. It becomes what? 2 by rho. Rho and rho gets cancelled. V1 square is equals to 2GH. What is this equation? Or this equation said V1 is equals to under root of 2GH. What is this equation 2GH? Have you ever come across this? V1 is equals to, V1 is the speed of Flex. V1 is called as speed of Flex, which is equals to 2GH. What is the meaning of 2GH? Gurtunda ekkodochindho intaku mundu, have remember that? It is the equation of a freely falling body, yes or no? With what height the fluid is coming out, then that equation, that velocity is equals to the equation of freely falling body. Accordingly, this is called as Torricelli's law. Torricelli's law states that fluid what is coming in the atmosphere will behave like a freely falling body. If it is falling from a height of h, if a fluid is falling from a height of h, then it follows that equation, that freely falling body equation. This is the equation of this is the equation for velocity of a freely falling body. Accordingly, Torricelli's law gives the expression. This is called as speed of Flex. Torricelli's law gives the expression for speed of Flex, and speed of Flex is the speed of outflow of a fluid. And what this Torricelli's law states, anything what is coming out in the atmosphere from a height h will follow the conditions of a freely falling body. Is this first example clear? First part clear? Shall I close? Shall I go to next one? Mathematical steps, you can understand this. Kamtode Raju says clear, sir. Hopefully all of you understood this first point, first example. I just don't want to recap again because of some time constraints. Just go through this, you'll understand it again. It's only, the thing is only time matter, time problem here to recap or to complete this, right? That equations, all the things are clear, I suppose, for everyone. I'm supposing that it is clear. Most of you say clear, sir, yes, sir. Right? We need to find V1, and accordingly we use some example, some setup like this. Go through it one more time. It becomes easy. That's it. Just try from now your side. One more time, you'll get this. Shall I close this now? Yes, we'll now go to second example. We now go to second example. What is second example? What is second example? Second application of Bernoulli's theorem is, second application of Bernoulli's theorem is Venturi meter. What is this device called as? Venturi meter. And by using this Venturi meter, what is it you can determine? You can determine the speed of flowing water. Any fluid what is flowing in a flow tube, that speed can be determined. And let me just straight away tell you, I explained already what it is, right? We can determine the speed of flow of a fluid in a flow tube. In a flow tube means it could be anything. It could be tank, it could be our taps, it could be some pipes, or it could be river, it could be sea, whatever it is. Wherever some fluid is flowing, that is called as flow tube. So listen. Venturi meter consists of a cylindrical shaped vessel in the form of in this form. Like if you know from your chemistry, pipettes and burettes, with some kind of arrangement, it is going to be like this. It consists of a glass tube with different cross-sectional area and a constriction at the middle, this kind of bending part. What is this thing you have now? It should be straight. I think in video it is appearing to be cross, right? Let me just try to redraw this. A bit better. Right? It's okay. Let's adjust. It consists of a cylindrical glass tube with some kind of a pipette burette arrangement, if you know, something like this. Yeah, a bit better. Right? This is entirely a glass tube, but center part of that has been compressed like this. Pipette burettes, hopefully you know. Pipettes and burettes. Now, what is that? Is a device clear? This glass tube made like this, having area of A1 and area of A2. There are two different areas. Again, what is the area here? Again, A1 itself, because areas at both ends are same. There is some kind of a glass tube like this, but at the center there is some kind of a compression. Open side is having larger diameter, onward side is having larger diameter, but at the middle it has been compressed or pressed like this so that diameter is reduced. Less diameter at the middle, larger diameter at the other ends. Right? Is this device construction clear? This is the way how it is made up of glass tube. And what you have to do is that you have to go take this device and immerse in a river water where water is flowing, where you have to determine the speed, of the fluid. In that fluid, you have to immerse this device. Now, what is that? If I immerse this device, fluid now or water now enters like this. Yes or no? Let me suppose river water is traveling in this direction. River is traveling in this direction, and I am immersing this device venturimeter in this. Now, what happens? With some speed it enters here, yes or no? And because of difference of area, some other speed it travels here. And again, when it is coming out, it comes with the same speed of V1. Is this part clear so far? Venturimeter consists of a long cylindrical tube with some area at one end, same area at the other end, but at the middle some kind of lesser area. You have to take this device and immerse in a fluid where the speed has to be, let me now suppose fluid is traveling in this direction, and in that fluid I am immersing this venturimeter, so that with what speed fluid is entering into this one, at an area of A1, fluid is entering at a speed of V1. And when that fluid comes to, it moves, right? It keeps on moving. Because it is flowing, it will not stop. When fluid enters into this region of A2, it will get a speed of what? V2 with that. And again, once it releases, it comes out with a speed of V1. We are not bothered about second part. Only these two things we need to take out. Is this construction clear? Now, what value you have to determine in there? In this, what value you have to determine? What value you have to determine here? No responses. Picture V1, Madhu again, right? Sampath, right? Very good. Only two people responded. V1 means speed with which fluid is entering. Very good. V1 it is. We need to apply V1. Means again, this is region 1. This is region 2. Bernoulli's theorem. Sum of three things at region 1 is equal to sum of three things at region 2. Right? Sum of applying Bernoulli's theorem only. We are talking about applications of Bernoulli's theorem, right? Now, to apply that, let us suppose that pressure is P1 here, pressure is P2 here. And from the surface of the earth, the center of this tube would be at same height, Y1 and Y1. When you're immersing in a reverse, because to apply things, let this fluid have a rho, density given by means of rho, and velocity is V1, Again, the fluid is rho, velocity is v2. At what height velocity, at what height fluid here from the surface of the earth? When you're immersing, level is same, because in this device, from where you have to measure the height is up to the center of the device. Center of the device means here, even that center also passes through, means I mean to say both height from the surface of these two levels would be same. Both are at same heights. Yes or no? Simple thing it is. I'm immersing something like this in the water. This is the level of, this is the surface of the water, this is the thing immersed. Now this open part center and this middle center is same, from same height from the surface of the earth. Yes. Accordingly, now can you apply Bernoulli's theorem at both the regions? Applying Bernoulli's theorem, tell me the equation now. Can you tell me the equation? Okay, so typing is difficult for you, so I'll write that equation. Can I say that applying Bernoulli's theorem, pressure at point 1 plus half rho v1 square plus rho g y1 is equals to, I'm supposing this height as y1, rho is accordingly, is equals to what? P2 plus half rho v2 square, half rho v2 square plus rho g y1 again. These two can be cancelled. We want to find the value of v1, but v2 is unknown. V2 is unknown. Now can you convert this v2 into v1 form, because you know the areas of the device. For this Venturi meter, we know A2 value because we have the diameters measurement. You can measure that. A2 value can be determined, A1 can be determined. V1 is unknown, V2 is also unknown. But can you now write that V2 in terms of V1? Can you write that? Yes, using the equation of continuity, you can say that A1 V1 is equals to A2 V2. What we are doing here is that since we don't know what is V2, we are converting this V2 also in terms of V1, but we know A1, A2 values. Accordingly, you can say that earlier in the previous case, V2 is 0 because falling is small, but here it is V2 is not 0. V2 is equals to, this implies that V2 is equals to what it is? A1 by A2 times of V1, right? V2 is equals to A1 by A2 times of V1. You can write like this. Now, continuation. That is, what is that? We want expression for V1. First remove this V2 and write in terms of V1. That is P1 plus half rho V1 square is equals to P2 plus half rho. V2 means what? V2 means A1 by A2 times of V2 is A1 by A2 times of V1 square. That is V2 square is equals to A1 by A2 whole square V1 square, right? I'm just simply replacing this V2 square by means of square of these two terms, A1 by A2 whole square V1 square. Now write all V1 terms together. Now write all V1 terms together from this. How to write that V1 terms together? You should know this equation. P1 plus half rho V1 square plus P2. I'll show you. From this, I want to write all V1 terms together. This is first V1. This is one more V1. These two terms together and other two terms to be together. That is what? We'll take this one to this side. A1 V1 square term to LHS. Thereby what it becomes now? What it becomes now? Half rho. I'll write two equations. V1 square minus half rho V1 square times of A1 by A2 whole square, right? Which is equals to what? Which is equals to what? P2 minus P1. Check out. I'll show you. See here, in this equation, 4 terms are left. I'm taking this one to this side. It becomes half rho V1 square minus half rho A1 by A2 whole square. I'm just writing V1 square. Half rho V1 square minus A1 by A2 whole square. This whole of this term is minus here. I'm just taking this to this side and P1 to this side. If P1 is taken this side, it becomes P2 minus P1. Check out this equation now. P2 minus P1 is equals to half rho V1 square minus half rho V1 square times of A1 by A2 whole square. What is it you can take common here now? You can take common of 1 by 2 rho V1 square common తీస్తే 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square, right? 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square. Here you are taking half rho V1 square common. This becomes 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square, which is equals to P2 minus P1, which is equals to P2 minus P1. Now from this, write the equation for what is that we need to write equation for? We need to write equation for V1 square. V1 square is equals to, I'll take first one by one. Half rho V1 square is equals to P2 minus P1 by 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square. Right, Ammo? Can you write like this? This whole factor is going to denominator. This P2 by P1 is asterisk. Now we want equation for only. Now we want equation for only. Yes, fine, good. We want equation for what? We want equation only for V1. Accordingly, V1 square is equals to 2 by rho times of P2 minus P1 of 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square. See this, square is present for the ratios of areas, not for entire square. A whole square entire undratledu. It is there only for the ratios of areas. Yes, okay, fine. So this is a final equation, or if you take out this square, it becomes root of this final equation. Now, what is this V1? What is this V1? In order to determine V1, you know what is 2, what is rho, flow, what is flowing in that. A1, A2 is there. What is that unknown thing in this? Pressure difference is unknown. What is this P2 and P1? P2 and P1 is the pressure difference between these two things. Yes or no? And by using a manometer in the form of U-shaped tube, ఒక యూ షేప్డ్ ట్యూబ్ మానోమీటర్స్ ఉంటాయి కదమ్మా, అది తీసుకొచ్చి ఇక్కడ కనెక్ట్ చేసి ప్రెషర్ డిఫరెన్స్ కనెక్ట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. దిస్ వెంచురీమీటర్ ఈస్ కనెక్టెడ్ టు ఏ మానోమీటర్. దీని లోపల ఏముంటుంది చూడండి ఒకసారి. మానోమీటర్ విల్ కన్సిస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఏ మెర్క్యూరీ ఇన్ దట్, and depending on the pressure difference, that mercury is going to have certain heights in that. Initially ఏముంటుంది కాన్సంట్రేట్, ఇనిషియల్ గా ఏముంటుంది అంటే mercury will be like this, two same levels. When both are at same pressures, mercury level will be same. But once there is a pressure difference, automatically pressure difference వస్తుందా రావట్లేదా? You will get pressure difference. Pressure is P1, pressure is P2. Pressure difference is there. The moment you connect here, what happens? This mercury in this is going to adjust. Thereby, it is going to give rise to certain height. ఈ height ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో, ఈ హైట్ వాల్యూ అయితే వస్తుందో మెర్క్యూరీ మానోమీటర్ లోపల, ఈ హైట్ మనకి ప్రెషర్ డిఫరెన్స్ ని ఇండికేట్ చేస్తుంది. P1 minus P2 or P2 minus P1 is equals to pressure difference is equals to H. What is that H value here? Is that clear how to determine P2 minus P1? P2 minus P1 can be determined in a Venturi meter by using a device called as manometer. And manometer pressure difference is given by the formula P2 minus P1 is equals to rho mgh. ఈ ఫార్ములాతో వస్తుంది మనకి. ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చింది ఈ ఫార్ములా మనకి? P2 minus P1 is equals to rho mgh. When you are using a manometer is filled with mercury whose density is rho m. Earlier it was rho fluid flow. Now it is rho m. G is acceleration due to gravity. H is the difference of height because of pressure. Pressure difference is been shown in the manometer by using this level. Is this point clear? I'll just brief up here. Ikkada explain chesanu chudandi. You have one pressure here, you have one more pressure here. This is a larger area, this is a smaller area. Constant ఉంది కదమ్మా. ఇక్కడ ఏం చేస్తాం మనము? ఒక మానోమీటర్ ని కనెక్ట్ చేస్తాం. Manometer is a U-shaped device filled with mercury whose density is rho m. When you are connecting this one to two different, and when the pressure is same, level is same. Level of mercury in both the columns is going to be same. Kada? But once the pressure difference is arising, what happens? Depending on the pressure difference, this adjusts and moves like this. ఇప్పుడు ఇంతకు ముందు దానికి ఇప్పటికి ఉన్నటువంటి హైట్ కనుక్కోవచ్చు కదా మనం. దిస్ హైట్ వాల్యూ ఇస్ h here, or to that Venturi meter, to this Venturi meter, by connecting a U-shaped manometer here, you can determine the pressure difference value. ఎంత pressure difference ఉందో మానోమీటర్ యూజ్ చేసి మెజర్ చేస్తాము. ఆర్ ఆ మెజర్ చేసాక యూజ్ చేసే ఈక్వేషన్ ఏంటి అంటే రో mgh. ఇక్కడ చూడండి రెండు రోలు ఉంటాయి. ఒకటేమో రో ఈస్ ద ఫ్లూయిడ్ డెన్సిటీ. ఇన్ దిస్ కేస్ యూ కెన్ రైట్ దిస్ ఈక్వేషన్ లైక్ దిస్. ఇదే ఈక్వేషన్ ఇంకో ఇలా కూడా రాసుకోవచ్చు. V1 is equals to under root of 2 by rho times of rho mgh. Pressure difference is replaced by rho mgh by 1 minus a1 by a2 whole square. This is the equation. Both are equally right. This is in terms of pressure difference, and this can be identified by using a manometer. Manometer consists of a U-shaped tube with filled up with fluid mercury inside that. Once the pressures at both the ends are same, mercury level would be like this. Once the pressure difference arises, this level will adjust and moves to new length. Now that difference of height, this is height y1, this is new height called as y2. Difference of height gives rise to difference of heights of mercury column gives rise to h value. By knowing this h value, knowing this fluid, mercury fluid, rho gh gives the pressure difference value. Pressure difference is equal to rho gh only, because Bernoulli's theorem P1 plus V1 V2 same. P1 plus rho gy1 is equal to P2 plus rho gy2. By arranging the terms, you can see that P1 minus P2 is equal to rho gy2 minus y1. That is a formula used in the manometer. Accordingly, you can now determine V1 can be determined, which is the flow of the river flow, speed of the river flow, whereas 2 by rho is the fluid density. Pressure difference 1 by areas, you know from the inchirometer. By putting in this formula, you can determine this river speed. Is this point clear? A little concentration is needed to understand the things. That's it. Is the equation clear? Equation must be, because in exams you are going to apply equations only. You should understand. Clear, sir, Rashida? See, yeah. It's only thing what I feel is like it becomes, when you're taking too many things like this, concepts take are lengthy. Only formulas, if you know, that's fine. Nobody is going to ask you derivations, right? Clear, sir, Rishita, Srilata, yes, sir, fine. So 2 examples are clear. What is first example? Torricelli's law. You can go through this recorded video if you want some more clarity. Same thing, if you repeat it many times, it becomes easy otherwise. No problem. Or first one is Torricelli's law, which gives the expression for speed of a flux given by means of 2gh. When a fluid is moving in the atmosphere, it behaves like a freely falling body. Second one is Venturi meter, which gives the speed of river flow, which is given by the expression 2 by rho times of delta P. I'll write P1 minus P2 or P2 minus P1. Delta P, pressure difference, by 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square. You can replace this pressure difference by means of what? Or you can also write this equation by using that concept of 2 by rho times of rho mgh. Both rho's are different. One is the density of fluid, other is the density of liquid in the manometer, by 1 minus A1 by A2 whole square. In some books, it would be A2 by A1 minus 1. Then this would be P1 minus P2. We did for P2 minus P1. In some books, you may find it as A2 by A1. It means he has taken P1 minus P2. Difference this is, we did for what? P2 minus P1. If it is P2 minus P1, 1 minus A1 by A2. If I write A2 by A1, it would be, because of reversing the terms, it is going to become P1 minus P2. In any book, if you come across A2 by A1, you should check whether this is P2 minus P1 or P1 minus P2. Some small logic is there. Hopefully you can get that, right? So these are the things what you have seen. And in third example, dynamic lift. I just brief up like how these in swingers and out swingers are going to. Sir, we have product of rho value, then we consider the value of P2 minus P1, finding another. Sir, if we have product of rho gh value, yes, you should know that. rho GH value, then we can consider that value as P2 minus P1 finding value. Yes, exactly. Madhu, right? If we have the product of rho GH value, that is what the pressure difference. Both are same. Bernoulli's theorem is P1 plus half rho V1 square. We'll ignore this. Half rho GH 1 is equals to P2 plus half rho GH2. Real terms, rho GH2 minus H1 is equals to P2 minus P1 or P1 minus P2. Rho product of rho GH is equals to change of pressure. Then using that you can determine the value of it, right? Madhu, you hopefully got my point, and your point is also right. Right? Now let us check the third example, dynamic lift. Shall I? Dynamic lift in the form of in-swingers and out-swingers. It is something like this. When it is something like this, when let us suppose wind is blowing it one direction like this. Let us suppose batsman is playing here and bowler is bowling here from here in this direction. Bowler is bowling like this in this direction and wind is blowing in this direction only. Air also blows in the same direction, or let me suppose air blows in this direction. Okay, in the same direction. Let us suppose first. When bowler is releasing the ball, let us suppose ball is released. If he is not spinning this, if he is releasing without any spin, bowler is releasing this ball without any spin. There is no spin. What do you mean by spin? Rotating like this. When you are releasing the ball, he will rotate half spinner, leg spinner, right? This is half spin for right-hander. This is leg spin for a right-handing batsman, right? Accordingly, the ball is released. If you release it without any spin, there is no spin. I'm not releasing. I'm just throwing it like this. What happens? There is no pressure difference. Why? When there is no spinning to the ball, it goes in the same direction. Now, if the bowler releases this with spin, if let us suppose that he is spinning the ball is spinning like this, it is rotating like this. Important thing this is, when the ball is rotating like this, what happens to the direction of the wind? Air is traveling in this direction. At this point of contact, the velocity of the body is going to be tangential to the surface. At this point it is tangential. At this point it is tangential, right? Body is spinning. Accordingly, at any point of time, velocities of the body is going to be, it is spinning like this. Accordingly, when it is in this location, now you can see one velocity of the air is in this direction, one velocity of the ball is going to be opposite to that one. Now this is a relative velocity. Relative velocity in what directions? For a spinning ball, there exists a tangential velocity to the surface every time, and when this is moving in a air in this direction, both velocities are opposite to each other. If both velocities are opposite to each other, what is the relative velocity? Relative velocity is the sum of these two velocities. Means this makes the region sum of velocity, the velocity of this is going to increase, thereby it is now going to attract. Whereas at the other side, both are having same direction. At this point, tangential in this direction and again in this direction. If you take this in clockwise direction, the other also clockwise. There what happens? This starts, both are in same direction, this starts rippling. Thereby, ball what happens now? Because this wind is attracting this one and this is repelling this one. Thereby, ball goes like this. Instead of without spin, it goes like this to the batsman, and with the spin, instead of going like this, it goes like this. Thereby, what it is now going to become? What kind of swinger it is? Cricket lovers can answer this. Understood what kind of spin is this? It is called as one kind of a swing called as in-swinger to the batsman. In-swinger for the batsman, depending on the direction of the wind, a bowler has to bowl this. If bowler is spinning in this direction, when wind is blowing like this, because of the concept of relative velocities, ball instead of going in the same direction, this wind starts attracting this one, whereas or white attracts and white repels here. It could be other way also. If this is not attracting, if this is not repulsing, this will attract and this will repel. Somehow something will take place for sure. Why? because it is now going to have some kind of pressure difference between these two regions. That pressure difference in these regions making the body to go or lift to some other directions. This concept is called as dynamic lift. By making use of this dynamic lift, ball is swinging to different areas. If he is spinning off, it is going in the form of in swing. Now if he swings leg spin, if he rotates like this, it goes opposite first to an out swinger it is going to become. Now dynamic lift is what? Dynamic lift is lifting of a heavy body like aeroplane by creating. How to understand this dynamic lift? Last one. How to understand this dynamic lift? An heavier object can be lifted up easily by creating the pressure difference between these two. By creating the pressure difference between these two. Lifting a body by the mechanisms of dynamic lift is called as Magnus effect. One of the important objective question. What is Magnus effect? What is Magnus effect? Magnus effect is the lifting of a body using the pressure difference across that body. Dynamic lift is what we call this as. Dynamic lift and magnet effect and one need meaning of it. Is the point clear? Now see, nothing much to be confused here, just few more examples we have. Is that point clear? No response I'm getting from anyone? Clear, okay. See, Bernoulli's theorem says, in simple words, I'll conclude this. Explanation. What is Magnus effect? Magnet effect is a dynamic lift getting on a body due to the pressure difference acting on that is called as dynamic lift. Clear, sir? Clear, sir? Right. I'll just conclude in some simple form like this. See here. Bernoulli's theorem simply says that if an object is placed in the region of the pressure difference, so pressure difference ఉన్నటువంటి place ఒక object తీసుకెళ్ళిపోతే ఏమొస్తుంది? Object will always try to place itself in the low pressure regions. Okay, example చూడండి అమ్మా. Example is the flattering of calendar near the wall. గోడకు తగిలించినటువంటి క్యాలెండర్ యొక్క పేపరు గాలి వల్ల ఎటు ఎగురుతుంది? బయటకు వస్తుంది. ఎందుకు? గోడ మీద ఎక్కువ ప్రెషర్ ఉంది అండ్ దూరం వెళ్ళే కొద్దిగా తక్కువ ప్రెషర్ ఉంటుంది కదా. వాల్స్ మీద ఎక్కువ ఫ్లో అవుతుంది కదమ్మా వాల్. And when it is going away, because less is the space on the wall, so it sticks there, but when it comes out of that, it goes. So accordingly, in front of the wall, the region of pressure is less, and on the wall, the region of pressure is more. Accordingly, it is now placing itself in the region of what? Low pressures. Put inko example, when you are standing on the platform in a railway station, and if train comes, we are advised not to stand at the borders at the closer to the train. Now, we are advised not to stand very close on the platform to the train, because when train is standing at very high speed, it creates some kind of air around that in the parallel to the surface of the body. Train ఇలా వెళ్తున్నప్పుడు ఈ చుట్టూ ఇక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి ఎయిర్ అనేది కూడా పక్కకి షిఫ్ట్ అయిపోతుంది కదమ్మా. మామూలుగా అయితే ఇక్కడ ఎటువంటి ప్రెషర్ లేదు, బట్ ఎప్పుడైతే ఇక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి ఎయిర్ ట్రైన్ మోషన్ వల్ల ఇటుగాని వచ్చిందంటే ఏమొస్తుంది? ఇక్కడ ఎక్కువ ప్రెషర్ వచ్చేస్తుంది కదా. ఇక్కడ ఏమవుతుంది? తక్కువ ప్రెషర్. ఈ ఎయిర్ అంతా ఇటు వచ్చేసింది కదా, ఇక్కడ తక్కువ ప్రెషర్ వచ్చేసింది కదా. Then what happens if you are standing very close to the train? Because of low pressure, it would attract yourself into this region. You will fall here in front of train goes. So this is the reason why. This is also the one more understanding way of Bernoulli's theorem. When train travels at very high speed, it is creating some kind of high pressure region here by making use of the air what is present here. If there is no train, air is like this. But once the train comes, this air shifts. Either it goes this side, or half of that goes this side, or half of that goes here. If you are standing very close to this is a high pressure region. If it is high pressure region, can you stand there? No, you can jump either to this low pressure region, or if you are lucky enough, you will fall like this. If not lucky enough, what happens? You may fall here. Thereby, the problem arises. Is that clear? Are all the things clear so far? So these are all the different things we have in terms of applications of Bernoulli's theorem. We have Torricelli's law, we have Venturimeter, we have dynamic lift, making use of which is helping aeroplane to lift up. Also, which is making use of what? Also it is making use of what, which is helping the, means a bowler should understand the conditions of atmosphere there to create in swing and outswing, where exactly the wind is blowing, to that wind how you have to spin the ball to get that kind of in swingers and outswingers. I'll just stop the recording, we can have some kind of discussion. Are yaar